Still, I rise. Radhika was thinking about the lines from Maya Angelou's poem as she opened the main door to her house. But still, like dust, I'll rise. But still, like air, I'll rise. Radhika was enamored by the life of Maya Angelou and especially by her poem that was discussed in the class today. It gave Radhika a sense of courage to take on the world. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Radhika nearly tripped over something fallen on the ground. Jolted out of her Angelou reverie, Radhika was shocked to see Ma's favorite tea set lying on the carpet, shattered to pieces. Instantly, Radhika understood that there had been a fight today also at home. Papa must have been in a bad mood again. Radhika listened for Ma crying in her room and thought to herself, when? Just when will Papa stop all of this, yaar? As Radhika began to look for Ma, the last few years flashed by in her memory. Papa was a stockbroker. He did very well in the initial years, but then in 2008, global recession hit the world. Papa lost almost everything at the stock exchange. Those years were horrible. All of Ma's jewelry was either pawned or sold. Jaideep was just a baby then. Papa wasn't well educated and hence he did not have any skills which could have enabled him to start some other business. Papa's frustration increased with each passing day. The worst outcome was when their bungalow had to be sold off and the family moved to a small 2-bedroom flat in a nondescript area of the city. Papa's reaction to this entire situation, it was anger and violence. As time went by, his violent streaks increased. And though none in the family was spared, poor Ma was the worst affected. Ma had tailoring skills and an eye for garment designing. To bring out the family from a state of abject poverty, Ma began a small tailoring outfit. With a little help from her elder brother, she made the first batch of kurtis. And then Ma ventured on to her journey of becoming one of the most sought-after boutique owners in the city. As the graph of Ma's success rose, that of Papa sank lower and lower. He began to indulge in beating sprees very frequently. There were times when Radhika waited for Papa's anger to subside and then run with the first aid box to Ma. She had nursed Ma's bruised cheeks, twisted wrists, cut lips, and even black eyes. Little Jaideep wasn't spared either. He reacted to this illogical violence of Papa by becoming disrespectful and resistant to authority. Most of his school complaints would be about beating up his classmates at the slightest pretext, not sparing the girl students even. Once, when a few parents complained, Jai was thrown out of school. His school had to be changed twice more. Dadi was uneducated and conservative. She believed that as the man in the house, Papa was justified in being violent. Once, when Radhika had questioned Dadi for Papa's violence, her only response was, "मर्द है ना, क्या करें बिटवा?" Radhika was looking for Ma when Dadi opened the door and entered the house. She had just returned from the temple. Her only response to the mess on the carpet was, कहा था हमने पुष्पा से जवाब मत दो जुगल को. दे दिया तो पीटो फिर. मर्द है ना, क्या करें. Radhika realized now with anger that Ma was at Dr. Dayal's clinic. When Radhika reached the clinic, Ma's dressing was almost done. Her left thumb had fractured and there was a bad cut on her lip. On the right cheek of Ma, Radhika could still see the marks of the slaps. Ma looked up at Radhika with tears in her eyes. Radhika suddenly realized that tears were streaming down her own cheeks too. Deeply disgusted and hurt, Radhika detected a total sense of helplessness and felt like shouting abusive words at Papa. With an effort, she calmed down and composed herself. But today she couldn't take it anymore. Ma, Jaideep and she herself had had enough of this violence. For what reason were they being victimized? For Papa's failures? Or for his ego? His false sense of masculinity was penalizing them. This unabated violence had to be stopped. Almost as if possessed, Radhika steered the car towards the boutique. At the boutique, Diya, the attendant, was measuring Mrs. Agrawal for a new lehenga, and her daughter was looking at some kurtis. Papa was sitting at the cash counter and was quite shocked to see Pushpa and Radhika walk in. Quietly but firmly, Radhika walked over to the cash counter and addressed Papa. Papa, why did you beat up Ma and break her tea set? Everyone in the boutique was stunned. Jugal Kishore was totally unprepared for this question. In a shocked state, he couldn't decide what to reply, so he simply raised his hand to slap his daughter. But Radhika was prepared for this, and in a menacing voice, which surprised her more than anyone else, she warned her father. Sochna bhi mat, Papa. I am not Ma who will bear your violence silently. Stop your violence towards all of us, Papa. Enough is enough. Who gave you the right to beat us, Papa? Who said you could turn violent to your own family? Arey, you failed at the stock exchange. So can you turn your frustration and anger towards us in this way? Had it not been for Ma's tailoring skills, hum sab sadak par hote, Papa. Instead of thanking her, you beat her up black and blue, and us too. Shut up, you idiot! Jugal Kishore shouted angrily. Arey, dekh le, Pushpa, how your daughter is behaving with her father. No, Papa, I won't keep quiet today. No. Ma and me are sick and tired of hiding our wounds and bruises. And look at Jay, Papa. 2 schools have thrown him out because they found him too violent and aggressive. From where do you think is he learning all of this? From you, Papa, from you. Everyone, friends, relatives, neighbors, everyone knows about your violent streak and everyone wonders what kind of a family we are. How many times can Ma say that she got burnt in the kitchen? And how many times can I say that I fell down and got hurt? Dadi says that you are marad. And hence, ka kare? Papa, if you are really a marad, then please curb your violence and learn to respect women. Don't hide your failures under the garb of violence. Don't you have any shame, Radhika? Thundered Jugal Kishore. You should be ashamed, Papa. You should be the one who should be ashamed. I am. I am warning you, Papa. Next time that you become violent, I will go to the police and file a complaint. So stop this right away, Papa. Enough is enough. Bas karo, enough. Jugal Kishore picked up the calculator lying near him and threw it at Radhika. But Ma stepped in and caught it midway. अरे बस करो सबको मारना. बस करो. राधी, तू निकल इस पागल खाने से. जा तू, निकल. Radhika came out and leaned against the door of the boutique. She was blank for a moment. But then, surprisingly, all she could think of right now was the poem by Maya Angelou. And like dust I'll rise, and like air I'll rise. I'll rise like the air, like the dust.
You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes? Shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.